Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? This is certified life and relationship coach, Coach Court. What's up, my people? It is good to see everybody. We got 5 people here right now. Do me a favor if you're on Facebook right now, bump over to YouTube. All right, help me boost my analytics. Get the thumbs up, get the likes up. Kind of boost the analytics for me so you can get as many people in here as possible. I appreciate you guys for being here. As always, you can be anywhere in the world, watching any coach in the world, but you're here watching me right now. And if you can't hear me, let me know. I'm going to make sure that this isn't acting weird right now. So I'll give it a few minutes here before I get into the topic for today. Thank you for being here. If you can hear me, thumbs up. If you can't hear me, thumbs up. Just thumbs it up anyway. I'll respond however you want to respond. But let me see if I can find this feed first. Of course, I'm going to have to mute it. Appreciate you guys. All right. Happy Monday. I am trying to kick the Monday off, right? Give you guys a little bit of inspiration if you are someone who is struggling with a breakup right now. Now, this is a quote that I wrote and I posted it on Instagram today. And I also posted it on Facebook. And I'm going to be honest, you may not be ready to hear this yet. All right. Because I know that the topic can be a little bit, the title, the thumbnail could be a little bit of clickbaity, but I have a reason for that. All right. And I try to take into account everyone who comes to my channel. You know, you may be at the point where you're trying to get your ex back when you first get here, but I try to help walk you through the process of seeing this thing from every different lens that you can see it through. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear this. Say yes. Tell me where you're from. The numbers just jumped, so I'm assuming that people are coming in. Let me know because I don't want it to be acting weird. Hey, Angel. Thanks for being here. So, all right, you guys ready for the topic for today? The topic for today is going to be thank you, Rebound. And why is it that you would be thanking someone that took your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want to, whatever it is, ex-wife, ex-husband, current wife, whatever it is? It's because, listen, y'all see that? They did you a favor. All right. They did you a favor. This is what happened when I turned the fan off. And the favor that they did you is they revealed the character of the person that you were once with. Right. And I don't know if you're going to get back together, but either way, right now, they did you a favor because they revealed who this person really was. Because you want someone who's going to be down for you through the tough times, through your depression, job loss, anxiety, whatever the case may be, losing finances, getting your house, car, your house get foreclosed on, your car repo. No, I get it. Like at some point, you need to get back on your purpose and make sure that you're living in what you're supposed to be living in, which is that dependability, that accountability, all those abilities, the land of the abilities. You want to be living in that. Okay, so I think this thing is really enjoying my cologne right now, which is strange. It's even landed on my water bottle. That's going to be a problem. Yeah, so you want to be living in that essence. And I understand, but they did you a favor because this is actually pretty comical right now. I don't know if y'all can see this. That's actually pretty comical. All right, 1 second. I wish I had to we'll be back soon. All right, I turned the fan back on. That may help. because that's going to distract me. But anyway, they did you for Angel. Don't laugh at me. It's not funny. It's not funny. This thing is trolling me right now. Not okay. Hello from Detroit, New Orleans. Did you a favor. It revealed the character of the person that you want to be with. And you should never want to be with someone who's going to leave you when you're down and out, when you're struggling in life. You want someone who's going to be able to see you through the tough times. And if anything, they can have that burden. All right. Because you wouldn't want to be with someone who can't be alone. You want someone who's going to be a happy, healthy, healed person. Happy, 100% person. You know, they have the whole, I don't like the saying when people say, you know, that's my better half, because you should both be a 100% healed person and not have to look for someone else. I get on Zoom. Yeah, it's annoying right now. You should be a 100% healed person, and you should be enjoying that journey with that person, not saying that this person is my better half and they are making you a better person. I don't like that. There's another thing I don't like. I don't like when people say, what's the quote? If you can't accept me for me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. I don't like that saying either. All right, because it insinuates that a person is supposed to stick around through all of your mess when we're not really meant to do that. We're not. What should have happened for you didn't happen early on. So when you get to us, you know, I'm pushing 40. I'm gonna tell my age. I'm pushing 40. We should already be at a place where we know we want life. We know how to communicate properly. We can communicate in a healthy manner. We know how to fight fair whenever we're having disagreements. We're able to be what that person needs for us to be in their life, right? So I don't like the saying when, if you can't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. It's like, well, I don't have time to be trying to raise a person. I have daughters, you know, and I'm not trying to raise another woman, period. And the same for you women who are in here. You don't want to be raising another man. It's not right. It's not your responsibility. And this channel is supposed to be leading with empathy and trauma-informed care. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to severely go backwards mental health wise, then I would never tell a person to stay in that relationship. I would never tell a person to bend more backwards to heal a person, because you can't love someone and heal them. Love doesn't heal people. Therapy does, counseling does, coaching does. That's what actually heals. Self-reflecting on their end, not for you to be codependent. So if a person doesn't take the time to heal after a breakup and they move on to the next person, that shows who that person really is. That kind of reveals their character. And no matter what they promised you, baby, we're going to go till death do us part, till the wheels fall off. You know, I'll be here through everything. As soon as you go through some type of turmoil. I mean, I've seen it so many times. This is the good part. I've seen it so many times where people were able to accept the breakup, wish their ex well. If they're going to go off and do their thing with someone else, well, and they went and they really healed themselves and they became successful. They got better jobs. They lost weight. They found someone later on down the line that aligned a little bit more with what they want in life right now in this moment. And it was beautiful. So most of the time you should be really looking at. So I'm all about finding the gratitude in the experience that you have with that person, but realizing it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to go for the long run. So when people tell me that, hey, I lost the love of my life, I say, well, why aren't they with you right now? Because the love of your life most likely won't exit your life for any reasons, unless you were like abusive, unless you were unhealthy, unless you were toxic, then they won't be here. But outside of that, if you were trying to show up, if you were taking the steps needed to become a better communicator, to become someone who wasn't triggered by trauma, the past traumas in your life, to lean in when you were starting to do the things that make you automatically want to lean out, then you were in good shape. When you raise them, you lose respect. I had a coach tell me one time, I'll never forget it. He said, a woman can't love you if she doesn't respect you. I'm gonna say that again. I think this goes both ways. A woman can't love you if she doesn't respect you. And this goes back to what John Gottman says, which is, the number one indicator in divorce, which is like 99% accurate. If a person feels contempt for you, they can't love you. They can't respect you. So that's how I feel. Like if a person is feeling contempt for you, they have no respect for you and they can't love you. So I always ask, so there's Dr. John Gottman. So I'm gonna go ahead and go a little bit deeper into that because I love Dr. John Gottman. Dr. John Gottman says if these 4 things consistently show up in a relationship, your relationship will end with a 98, 99% accuracy. They did a big study on it. If a person in a relationship starts to show contempt is going to be the last one. That's the biggest indicator, he said. Criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. So criticism is just basically you constantly cut your partner down, talk about how they're living, talk about their what they're wearing, how they do things, and that's criticism. Defensiveness, which is you can't have a conversation with them. And I feel like that's an even bigger one than what John Gottman says. Defensiveness makes it very frustrating if they constantly keep butting heads with you when you're trying to have a simple conversation with them. You're trying to communicate in a healthy manner, and healthy meaning not holding it in, not forming resentment for that person. You're leaning into them and talking about what it is that you want. What is it that's bothering you? And they get defensive, which means they can't see your point of view. They can't sit with your experience. That's a huge one for me. So you got the criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, which is, let's just be honest, stonewalling is the dismissive avoidance go-to when they're feeling overwhelmed and they're being flooded with emotions. John Gottman talked about that too. When they get flooded with emotions, they pull back and they completely just say, you know what? I don't want to talk about this, or let's talk about something else. Or they'll just ignore your text message. But that's because they are getting flooded with emotions. And unless they go do something as far as like healing themselves, understanding what makes them tick, because I think that a lot of people who have insecure attachment, anxious, fearful, dismissive, they're operating unconsciously, which means they're making decisions that they're not really bringing to the conscious front, right? It's autopilot. It's an automatic response to the way that they're feeling if they're being flooded with emotions. And over the past couple of days, I probably had like 8 or 9 different sessions, which was exhausting, but it kind of lit a fire in me. All right. It lit a fire in me because I just love doing what I do. But we're going to get to contempt, right? Which is the major one. We talked about it before. Contempt is the biggest one because when you look down your nose at someone and you feel like they're not your equal, you lose respect for that person. Like if a person is promising things and they're not following through with it, you're gonna grow contemptuous of that person. And that's honestly, that's the biggest one. So those 4 things, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, go check that out if you haven't done it already. I've talked about this on multiple live sessions, but you never know who's walking through the door on each live session. So if you haven't seen that, you haven't looked it up, John Gottman, Gottman, check him out. What's up, everybody? Mandy Johnson. Hi. Facebook. Hey, Facebook. If you're in Facebook world, bounce over to my YouTube channel. I got the link right up there in the I think my story on Facebook and Instagram. Put in one in the chat if you think this is valuable content. And we're gonna go back to the original reason for this session today. I'm gonna do a recap real quick. Thank you, Rebound. Essentially, what you did is you took someone off of my hands that I thought I knew better. And it can go both ways. All right. This can go both ways, because sometimes the rebound does work out. And if that's the case, when you're in a position where you know your worth, when you've done so much work to become a more confident, a more secure person. That's the thing about secure people versus insecure people is they know when to let go. They have the bandwidth to sit with someone's experience, and they also are not naive to the fact that seasons change. If you haven't seen that video, I talk about that on my I did a couple live sessions ago. Seasons change. So don't get caught in a snowstorm with your swim trunks still on because you think that everything is still sunny and rainbows and gumdrops, whatever you want to call it, because it's not. And that's okay. It's okay for it not to be okay. It's okay for people to separate and leave and not stick in situations. Now, this is going to go against a lot of what other coaches say, especially when it comes to like religious based, because divorce is highly frowned upon. But at the end of the day, you can't make someone stick with you that don't want to continue to be with you. Coach told me once too, he said, it's not about how much you love that person. It's about how much that person loves you. So I can't continue to do more to get you to come back here. It's like I'm taking the pills to heal you. It just doesn't work that way. And if they go off and they find someone that they feel is aligned with them, I know it's hard to hear. And I can tell you the only thing that is stopping you from really being able to embrace this message today is ego. It's ego. And I take that back. That's not the only thing. It's ego, and you're grieving the future that you thought that you had. And that's okay. It's okay to grieve that future. Everything that you thought, even if you were picking out wedding rings, if you were picking out places to live, you were picking out, I don't know, how to decorate the apartment, that's what you're grieving. And that's what you can't let go of. And you think that the other person is going to go ahead and get all those benefits. But if that person was someone who, like, look back, I tell people karma is, you know what? If you look back and you see that you took them from someone else, it's only a matter of time before it's going to happen to you, because this person needs someone in their life, and they may not necessarily been 100% into you. I've seen in many occasions where people just use other people to get over someone else. I mean, there are people who on their third and fourth wives or third and fourth husbands, and they still haven't grieved the very first one because they didn't take the proper steps to heal, but they just can't be alone. Thank the Rebound for taking this off your hands. And if it happened early on in your relationship, I would say before 3 years, 4 years, that is a 100% blessing, because would you have rather figured out that this person was like this when you were 5-10 years in, you had kids, you were married, and they found someone else and they monkey branched over? You want to know this early enough, or you want to know, is this person someone that's going to be able to, all right, pull back, grieve, and everyone can do, is no right or wrong here. People can move on as quickly as they want. Doesn't make it healthy, but they can. They have that right. They have 100% right to do that. But you also want to, it feels better for your ego, like I talked about before. It feels better for your ego when you see someone get out of the relationship, single for a little while because they miss you. And someone asked me on my YouTube channel today, they actually said that, I don't care, this person don't miss me. And I'm like, well, they don't have to miss you. That's not really important. Like, think about that. That's not, if they miss you, if they don't miss you, how relevant is that? Like, how important of an information is that? Even if they do say they miss you, that's just going to make you feel more hopeful that they're going to come back. And if they don't miss you, you're going to be like, well, they're cold. So how is that information anything important? Think about that. Yes, with time, you will be grateful the Rebound person stole them away, especially a narcissist. This is a life. Whoa, they got plenty of narcissistic channels there. And they talk a lot about that. Because here's how I explain it to people that I coach. Whenever they're having a hard night, they have those sleepless nights. They lose 10, 15 pounds. because they can't stop checking their ex's social media and they're looking at the stories and they see that they're posting hiking pictures or whatever it is. And I tell them to stop. Don't do that. It's not good. It's like a scab, and every time you feel like you're healing, you're picking it off and it's bleeding again. So don't do that. But I say, how happy of a person do you think they are if they have to be with someone? They can't find ways to fill that piece of the pie in their life. So they have to go find someone else to do that. And like I said, there's no right and wrong. They can do whatever they want. At the end of the day, there's going to be one name on that tombstone. It's going to be Courtney Gatlin. It's not going to be Courtney Gatlin and someone else. So every decision that I made up until that point is all going to be on me. But the ego can't take that. And I don't want to get into like genders here, but there is a particular gender, more men, that really struggle the hardest to get over relationships because they fall really deep. It may even been a case where you had a hard time really even putting your whole into this person. And then when you finally do and it didn't work, you really struggle. I mean, I've seen guys 2-3 years out that are still struggling. And I don't know why. I think it's, I don't know. Men love with that paternal love after a while, or if it's ego or what it is. If they lose 90% of respect already, would that mean they wouldn't feel the pain of the breakup? If they lost respect, that's a good question, Jensen. If they lost respect, I think you can pretty much count down when the relationship's going to end. Because then they'll start just nitpicking at everything that you're doing in the relationship. And then they'll just be more annoyed with you. And then that's when the door opens up to someone else, or even the women that can break up and heal and take time to get back to themselves. They do fall out of love. I've seen it a lot where women say, yeah, I was checked out of this thing a month, 2 months, 3 months. What's the longest? 2 years. I was watching a coach one time and he was saying that it was a woman that went to a divorce lawyer that said, hey, I'm planning on leaving my husband in 2 years. So what do I need to do in order, her financial advisor, to make this thing, split up well? And I'm like, now that is some premeditated stuff there. But it's also an indication that they just didn't love him anymore. Selena, the more I heal, the higher his wall went up. His rebound relationship feels like a huge factor in that. Makes co-parenting incredibly difficult. Now that is a real circumstance that is hard to stomach, especially when a person is rebounding and right away your kids are thrust into that environment and they all of a sudden has a new dad or a new mom. That's a hard one to stomach, especially when it wasn't a mutual breakup, The higher his walls went. Can you explain that, Selena? What does it mean by the higher his walls went? And how would you explain healing? All right, so for everyone in the room today, how would you explain what your healing looked like? Does that mean that you weren't texting him as much? You weren't triggered by him as much? You were indifferent? You started to date other people? What does healing look like for you? I don't know if I answered that question. Would that mean they wouldn't feel the pain of the breakup if they lost respect for you? Unless they're sociopathic or they just can't sit with people experience, they have no empathy. Breakups hurt. And I've actually had questionnaires on this. Even the dumper feels pain for breaking up with that person. But if it's someone who's monkey branching and going to another relationship, that's sometimes a way for them to numb out that pain. Therapy. Okay. Therapy, CBT, DBT, mindfulness. I was listening. I was actually coaching a person today, and I was telling her all the things that I use to heal and that I advise people to heal. I got like a bunch of tools in my toolbox. And, you know, it's a combination of self love, living in purpose, reading, podcasts, exercise, meditating, um, you name it, with a splash of knowing your worth and knowing that you have something to bring to the relationship. And let's be honest, not everyone is perfect in relationships. I mean, I made my mistakes too. I took a couple bumps on the head throughout my relationships, but I always try to show up better. I try to ask myself, and that's the mindfulness part. Why did I make this type of mistake? Why did I do this? Why did I do X, Y, Z? What's up, Freddie? No contact and deleting the photos. Now moving to the end of sharing, TV sharing, which is oddly hard. You know, it's a little bit of gratification when you go on your Netflix account or your Hulu or whatever, and you see the person was recently watching a show. You're like, oh, I guess it's not completely over. This person is still out here watching my stuff. That's kind of cool. Maybe that's hope. Maybe they don't want to like delete it. Like, no, they're just riding on your Netflix for free. Don't look too much into that. I feel like healing would mean I don't really care enough to hurt over my ex anymore. Okay. Working on myself is healing, leaving those old breakups behind and focusing on self. So focusing on self. How do you stop yourself? I'm going to ask you, Angel, how do you stop yourself from going too far into the avoidance side? Or becoming a fearful avoidant, because that happens a lot too. Healing is personal growth. Obsessive thoughts have lessened and almost zero not being triggered by them in their life anymore. Indifference. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. One of my favorite quotes. I got a lot of favorite quotes, but that's one of them. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Once you get to the point where you feel indifferent, where you can see that person and your heart's not just jumping or falling into your stomach, you're in a good spot. After 8 months of our 1-year relationship ended, I've healed to the point where I'm happy by myself. 2 weeks ago, I congratulated my ex on his rebound he got. 1 week ago, they broke up. Oh, how does that work? So it's almost like the teenage kid that's rebelling and they sneak out the window. And then the dad finally gets tired. I was like, hey, just so you know, I left you a spare key from when you sneak back in the house. And they're like, eek, nah, I probably shouldn't sneak out anymore. It lost its allure now. I don't really want to do it anymore. Strangely enough, I accepted and moved on. Do the work on a daily. Therapy, meditation, etc. I know now we were both toxic. That takes a very healed person to say that you were one of the toxic ones. That's a good step forward. At first, we were still close and friendly about the kids. Breakup was amicable. Healing is messy. It's hard to look in the mirror and admit that you have an issue. But I think it's a necessary step to taking those next steps in your healing process. I mean, it's almost like one of the first one. It's like alcohol and drug dependency and recovery. The first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem. And that's hard, especially when it comes to mental health, especially when you're operating exactly like your parents, when you're operating exactly like people in your community, when you were so assimilated to where you were at that when you're looked at like the black sheep and like, oh, I'm doing something totally radical away from what everybody else is doing. It's hard. I learned assimilation when I was in school. Sociology is probably one of my classes I was taking. And assimilation is basically when you gravitate towards the people who have the same interests as you, the like interests, music, food, culture, whatever it is. I mean, it can be you can move from the US over to the UK and you will assimilate with the people who feels the most comfortable with you. But how many people can like, all right, I'm going to be this black sheep and not do what everyone else is doing? I was kind of like that as a growing up. I was like that a lot. Like wasn't really into like all the fashion or did I marched to the beat of my own drum, considered the nerd with the nerdy glasses and everything. But when I was coaching, when I was mentoring my kids, I would tell them all the time, if they're making fun of you and they're calling you the nerd, you're probably going to be giving them jobs later on in life. And the reason being is because you learn how to do things, make decisions, and live the way you want to live on your terms. And it takes people to think out of the box to become the leaders, right? Today I found out she is moving in with the guy she was cheating on me with after 6 months. Feeling anxious. It's only a matter of time before you find someone else, right? I'm going to say that right now. It's only a matter of time before you get through this, heal the proper way. Don't get into a rebound. Don't do drugs and alcohol in extreme. Heal. You got to feel it to heal it. Like my mom said, you got to go through to get through. I know that I was being toxic at the time, so I took the time to be alone and work on my character. Oof. Okay. I finally blocked my ex 5 days ago. Goal or not, checking their social media. It's been on obsession since the breakup. Not healthy to move on and heal. Yeah, you're just picking that scab and wondering why it's bleeding. Why is it blood on my shirt? Oh, because I keep checking their stories. That's why. I love you guys. I'm going to take off. It's been past a half hour. If you found this video of any value, please like, comment, and share the content. Before you leave, like it, please. Go out, back out. If you're on apps, go out, back out, like the feed. You don't have to share it. I don't care if you want to share it because some of this stuff is private and it's one of the most intimate. Your romantic relationship, one of the most intimate and private relationships you have in your life, and I get it. But visit the website for articles. Sign up for my email coaching. I give free. I send out free email newsletters every Friday with kind of just like a little bit of a oomph, and that's something I've been trying to stick with over the past few months. Also, I'm on Instagram. I am Coach Court. Love all you guys. Thank you for making this platform a beneficial one that leads with compassion, love, empathy, and understanding, and healing. Peace, guys.